Hello everyone. So in the last lecture, we discussed various kinds of adverbs, their formation and its comparison and so on. So now in today's lecture, we will continue further and do some more important rules and even solve a few questions related to adverb. So let's start without any further delay. So let's start. Position of adverbs. Adverbs of manner, for example, slowly, carefully, beautifully, etc. Then your adverb of time, for example, tomorrow, yesterday, today, now and so on. And your adverb or adverb phrases of place like here, there, everywhere, on the wall, at the door, etc. are generally placed after the verb or after the object if there is one. So, in general, the following format is used, which is subject, verb and object, SVO. So, first comes your subject, then your verb and then your object. So, adverbs of manner, or your adverb of time or your adverb of place will come after your verb or object. So, in general, the following format is used: subject, verb and object, and after that comes your adverb of manner or your adverb of time or your adverb of place. For example, I wrote a letter carefully. So, I is your subject, wrote is your verb and letter is your object. So, we just did that adverbs of manner, adverbs of time and adverbs of place are generally placed after the verb or after the object if there is one. So, carefully over here is your adverb of manner. Hence, it is placed after your verb and your object, that is at the end. So, I wrote a letter carefully. Now, next, when there are two or more adverbs in the same sentence, then they are placed in the following order. First comes your adverb of manner, then your adverb of place and then your adverb of time. So, this is your famous MPT rule. It is very important, keep this in mind. So, it is a very important rule, memorize this rule. So, when there are two or more adverbs in the same sentence, then they are placed in the following order. First comes your adverb of manner, then adverb of place and then your adverb of time. Now, next is your adverbs of frequency. So, adverbs of frequency like always, never, often, frequently, sometimes, seldom, etc. and certain other adverbs like already, hardly, scarcely, nearly, quite, just, almost. These are normally placed between the subject and the verb. So, keep this in mind, it is placed between the subject and the verb if the verb consists of only one word. So, if the verb consists of only one word, then it is placed between the subject and the verb. So, again this is important, keep this in mind. So, for example, we usually have breakfast at 8. So, here we is your subject and have is your verb. So, again where we will place the adverb of frequency, that is over here it is usually. So, it is placed right in between subject and your verb. We usually have breakfast at 8. Now, next sentence, my brother. So, my is your subject. So, my brother never cooks. Now, cooks is your verb. So, where we will place the adverb of frequency? My brother never cooks food for me. So, it will come before the verb. Hence, the sentence would be my brother never cooks food for me. Now, moving on, adverbs of frequency and certain other adverbs like already, hardly, scarcely, nearly, quite, just, almost are placed after the first auxiliary if the verb consists of more than one word. So, now when more than one verb is used, then the adverb of frequency and certain other adverbs are placed before the main verb and usually after the first auxiliary. So, keep this in mind, it is important. Now, let us understand it with the help of an example. He is usually seen roaming around the canteen. So, here he is your subject, is your verb, it is your first auxiliary verb. Now, seen is your main verb and again roaming is also your verb, it is again your helping verb and canteen is your object. So, hence usually is placed before the main verb and after the first auxiliary. He is usually seen roaming around the canteen. Next sentence, he has never seen people in his office. So, here he is your subject, has is your auxiliary verb and again seen is your main verb. So, never, which is your adverb of frequency, is placed after your first auxiliary. So, the sentence is he has never seen people in his office. Now, next comes your law of inversion. So, when a sentence starts with an adverb, we follow law of inversion. So, keep this in mind when a sentence is starting with an adverb. So, we follow law of inversion. Inversion means putting the verb before the subject. Again, this is important. So, inversion means putting the verb before the subject. So, in general, the following format is used. I just told you SVO, that is your subject, then comes your verb and then your object. But in case of inversion, verb will come first. So, in case of inversion, verb will come before the subject. Hence, in case of inversion, following format is used, VSO, that is your verb will be placed before the subject. So, keep this in mind. Now, let us take an example. Seldom he does go for a morning walk. So, is this sentence correct? No. So, let us find out what is the error. So, in this sentence, seldom is your adverb. So, as you can see, the sentence is beginning with an adverb. Hence, we will follow law of inversion. So, in this sentence, is the law of inversion being followed? Let us check it out. He is your subject and does is your verb. So, we just studied in case of inversion, verb comes before the subject. So, here is the verb coming before the subject? No. So, hence the correct sentence would be seldom does he go for a morning walk. So, this will be the correct sentence. Now, next never I will see her again. So, again in the sentence, never is an adverb. So, again as you can see, the sentence is beginning with an adverb and I is over here subject and will is your verb. So, the correct sentence would be, never will I see her again. So, this will be the correct sentence. Now, moving on, we will do some special uses of adverbs. So, here I will discuss some rules. They are important for your exams, so please remember them. Now, first adverb is enough. Enough is used to denote the proper limit or amount. For example, he is rich enough to buy a big house. He solved the sum quickly enough to pass the test. Now, enough also means fairly. For example, the news is bad enough. Next example, she is pretty enough. Now, next, when enough is used as an adjective, then it is placed before the word it qualifies. Keep this in mind, when enough is used as an adjective, it is placed before the word it qualifies. So, hence in case of nouns, enough is used before it. So, this is important. Let us take an example. I have enough time to spare. So, as you can see, time over here is a noun, hence enough is placed before your noun. So, this sentence is correct. Now, next, when enough is used as an adverb, then it is placed after the word it qualifies. So, basically enough is used after your adjectives. So, again this is important. When adjective is coming in a sentence, enough will be placed after it. So, now for example, I will give you a sentence, tell me whether it is correct or not. He has worked enough hard for the examination. So, is this sentence correct? No. So, let us find out the error. Now, hard is what? It is an adjective. And as you can see, enough is placed before the adjective, which is wrong. We just did that enough is placed after the adjective. Hence, the correct sentence would be, he has worked hard enough for the examination. Fine. Now, moving on, very. Very, it is intensively used with an adjective or another adverb in the positive degree. So, it means to a great degree. For example, it is a very difficult situation. Another example, he wrote very quickly. Now, very is used with a present participle used as an adjective. So, very is used with a present participle. So, keep this in mind. Also keep this in mind, very is used in the positive degree. Now, for example, it is a very amusing story. Now, next, very is also used with superlative degree. Again, keep this in mind. It means in the highest degree or absolutely. So, in case of superlative degree, following format is used. In case of superlative degree following format is used in case of very, the plus very plus your superlative degree. So, keep this in mind. For example, this tea is of the very best quality. So, best is your superlative degree over here. I can come at 7 at the very earliest. Earliest is again your superlative degree. Now, next, much. So, much is used with an adjective or another adverb in the comparative and superlative degree. So, keep this in mind, much is used in comparative and superlative degree, unlike very, which is used in the positive degree. So, much means a great deal or by far. For example, she is much prettier than Monica. Dr. Roy is much the best doctor here. Now, in case of superlative degree, following format is used for much, so this is the format, much plus the plus superlative degree. So, as you can see, there is a difference between very and much. In case of very, the format was the plus very plus superlative degree, whereas in case of much, much comes before the and your superlative degree. So, let us take an example. Dr. Roy is much the best doctor here. So, best is your superlative degree. So, as you can see, this is the format being followed over here, much plus the plus your superlative degree. Now, next, much is used before a past participle in the passive form. So, as you can see the difference, very is used with your present participle, whereas much is used with your past participle. Now, for example, I was much surprised to hear the news. Now, next is too. It means more than required. It is generally used with unpleasant adjectives. For example, too ugly, too bad, too wicked and so on. For example, he has too much money. Next, it can be used with pleasant adjectives in the following format. So, keep this format in mind. Again, this is important. Let us take an example. He is too intelligent to be cheated. This news is too good to be true. Now, note one thing, too happy, too glad, too healthy, too pleased and so on should not be used with too. So, using too with, for example, if you say too happy or too glad plus too, if you are using this format with happy, glad, healthy, pleased, then this format is totally wrong. So, for example, if we say I am too glad to meet you, so this sentence would be incorrect. The correct sentence would be I am very glad to meet you. Now, next is too much and much too. Now, there is as such no difference in their meaning, but too much is used with noun, whereas much too is used with adjective. Again, this is very important, keep it in mind. So, too much is used with noun. For example, his success gives me too much pain. So, now pain is your noun. So, hence too much will be used with noun, and much too is used with adjective. For example, the journey is much too long. So, long is your adjective, hence much too will be used with it. Now, next is fairly. Fairly is used with pleasant adjectives. It is used in a positive sense. For example, fairly good, fairly wise, fairly beautiful, etc. So, keep this in mind. Fairly is used with pleasant adjectives. It is used in a positive sense. So, fairly is used in a positive sense, whereas rather is used in a negative sense. So, rather is used with unpleasant adjectives and it is used in a negative sense. For example, rather dull, rather difficult, rather bad, etc. So, let us take an example to understand fairly, the difference between fairly and rather. So, for example, the cold coffee is dash cold. Another example, the question is dash difficult. Now, solve this. So, is it done? Now, let us tally. The cold coffee is fairly cold. So, this sentence is conveying a positive sense, hence fairly will be used over here. Next is the question is rather difficult. So, here the word difficult is portraying a negative sense, hence in that case rather will be used. So, that is it for today. We will continue further with more rules and also some practice questions in the next lecture. Thank you.